we gather in the cosmos bright. Stars and ships take flight tonight. In the void where dreams do play. Soul citizens lead the way. Borders fade in nebula's light. Unknown worlds will chart tonight. Through the galaxy we soar. Endless journeys at our core. Borders fade in nebula's light. Unknown worlds will chart tonight. Through the galaxy we soar. Endless journeys at our core. Starry roads in endless skies. Soul citizens we rise. Charting courses never lost. Together the verses crossed. Squadrons call on the horizon. Battles fought, our hearts aren't frightened. In our ships we face the dawn. Soul citizens carry on. Oh, planets spin and light years fly. Boundless space where hopes reside. Brotherhood in every star. Soul citizens, here we are. Borders fade in nebula's light. Unknown worlds will chart tonight. Through the galaxy we soar. Endless journeys at our core. Starry roads in endless skies. Soul citizens we rise. Charting courses never lost. Together the verses crossed.
Hey, greetings. Welcome back to Soul Citizens. I am GriffinGamingRPG, and I am here today joined by my two co-producers, fastcart and SeriousFun. How are you gentlemen doing on this day, Sunday, the 14th of September? How are you?
Greetings and salutations. We heard from Benoit. Let's get at it.
You ready to go? You ready to go?
You just skipped over everything, boy. Wow! Oh my god! FC, how are you doing? You doing okay?
I'm doing well. I'm caught up on Star Trek: Strange New Worlds and Foundation. I'm happy with those way those are going. What those have gone.
Okay.
Now I'm trying to catch up on other stuff. But yeah, it's been going well. I can't believe it's the middle of September already.
Yeah, I know. Time is flying by. We're getting ready to go into the fourth quarter of 2025, and it's been such a interesting year, particularly for those of us in the Star Citizen community. Oh, almost over. Thank you so much for the donation. Appreciate that.
Thank you. Almost over. Wait. It's 2025? When that happened?
I know, time just flies, right? It's crazy, right? It is crazy. So yeah, there's so much that has been going on. We want to say shout outs to everybody who is joining us today on Sunday. I see we've got the prisoner out there, Pops in Space, Shimpasta, we got to talk. I told you we had to get together after Vegas, so we got to find some time to connect. You have to come by the Discord one day when you see me and let's chat for a little bit. Pops in Space, Captain Jones is out there. Vaverick is out there. Let's see, who else do I see? Yeah, I think that's all the names I've seen so far. I know there are other people out there who haven't said hello, but hello to everybody again. And we're glad that you guys are here with us today. As it is September, we are going to be covering a couple of topics that have happened over this past week. As you guys know, we opened up the show talking about a little bit of Star Citizen this week. And one of the first things that we are going to talk about, oh, wow, why is that screen up? That screen shouldn't even be up there. Hang on a second, guys. Hold on. Don't go anywhere. Don't go anywhere. Don't ask me why that screen popped up, but there. Okay. That's our topic for today, making a game, building a universe. And we're going to get to that topic in a little bit, but we're going to kind of talk a little bit about what's been going on in the Star Citizen community this week. And let's kick it off with something pretty straightforward, pretty easy, which was or is. Nope, that's not it. Where is it at? I got to find where the thing is for it. There we go. CitizenCon Direct is less than 1 month away. And last week, CIG showed us what their digital goodie pack is. Now, for those of you who don't know what a digital goodie pack is, every time we have a CitizenCon, they put together like a recognition package for that particular convention for that year. And quite often it might be a couple of items that can go into your hangar, such as flare. It could be some armor, a weapon. And then usually they give you like this digital trophy, and they've been giving us challenge coins, things of that nature. But this year, it looks like they have expanded the pack to a few other items. Not only have they expanded the pack, they've expanded the price. Fastcart, let me go to you first. tell me your thoughts about this year's CitizenCon Direct $29.55 digital goodies pack.
I'm glad you went to me first, but I was in the middle of looking it up, because in the past few years, when we actually had a physical CitizenCon, they were actually free. And I'm trying to look back into 2020 or 2021. And yeah, it was free then too. So this is, I don't want to say this is the first time they're charging, but I don't remember it being $35 for a goodie pack. But other than that, looking at what they offer inside the thing, we get FPS weapons. I already have too many. We get new armor. I already have too many. We got a new undersuit. I already have too many. So, but I am looking forward to the new jacket, and I do like the challenge coin and trophy. I mean, I typically get the goodie pack for the trophy because I like hanging them in my hangar when we get them. But $35, I'll pick it up later.
Okay. Serious, what about you?
Yeah, you said we're starting off with something relatively easy, but I'm not sure about that because I'm feeling similar to fastcart in that, you know, when I went to LA and when I went to Manchester, this was just part of the package.
Uh-huh.
Right? And so I didn't think about it. It was just another way to remember the memories and enjoyment of that trip. Like it was bundled into that cost.
Right.
And so now that there is no CitizenCon to go to, and we have this CitizenCon Direct, which Jared has made clear is not a full CitizenCon, right? It is a shorter thing. I'm looking at this thing and I'm looking at this price, and it's something that I have to really think about.
Okay.
Right.
Okay.
And you know, I know me, I will probably end up whatever, but my reaction isn't to jump on it. I have not jumped on it.
Okay.
Right.
Okay.
My reaction is to be like, wait, what is this really? And $35.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I'm kind of making a face at it because I haven't had to think about it the last 2 years. It's just been bundled in. You know?
Yeah.
Can I make a correction for myself?
Sure.
They did charge last year. It was $30 last year because I didn't go to Manchester, so it was $30 for those of us who didn't go. That's a $5 jump. I don't think inflation has increased that much, but yeah.
Okay. So let me play devil's advocate and say this is a deal. Okay. So like you guys, I have been going to CitizenCon every year since 2018, roughly. I didn't go to one that was in Germany, but I've been to the other ones. And fastcart, you're absolutely right. Before it was $25 and it went up to $30. Normally, when we have a goodies pack, if I'm not mistaken, and correct me if I'm wrong, chat, you only get 5 to 6 items max. That's it. They're giving 13 items in here. 2 of which are items that a matter of fact, 3 of which we've never seen before. These are all new items. Don't know what the new armor set will be. There is 2 armor sets in here, not just 1. Normally we get just 1. There are 2 brand new armor sets. There's 3 new FPS weapons. Don't know what those are because they didn't outline what they are. Then there's 3 new decor items that you're getting, and we don't know what those are. And I will guarantee you that more than likely, someone just told me the other day that one of the sets, the CitizenCon pack sets that they sold the other day was selling online for some ridiculous amount of money, like $300, something crazy like that. So I'm saying for 13 items versus 5 or 6, and it only increased by $5, and fastcart, you're wrong, inflation has gone up, I would say yes. Now, will I buy one? I don't know. But I think that $30 for 5 or 6 items versus $5 more for 13 plus items, plus the fact that, and I was looking at what something Stunner said. Stunner said it might be a little difficult for him because it's only a 2-hour Citizen Con. I don't associate the Citizen Con to the pack. Because there are people who don't go to Citizen Con that buy the packs. I get the fact that there's less time and everything, but I don't know if I put the value. I think that that's what they're doing. I think they're compensating because Citizen Con is only 2 hours. They're giving us something more to compensate it. I could be wrong. So you guys take your pick. You can either listen to Fastcart and Serious, who don't know what they're talking about, or you can listen to me, who knows what he's talking about. I'm just kidding. No,
I said that I don't think inflation went up that much. I don't think it went up that much.
I'm teasing Fastcart. I'm teasing. No, inflation has gone down since last year. So it'll be different. It'll be a matter of what people want, and there will be some people who will wait and see. I'm curious because usually they will tell us at some point right before the con what the packs are. And that might be a determining factor for people, right? If it's some armor that, like, what's the new one, Serious, the new rifle that came out? It's not the Volt, it's the Volt one. What's it called?
Fresnel.
Yeah, but no, not that. No, what is it? I thought it was a Lightning something. Lightning? What did they call it?
No, the new rifle, there's the Zenith, there's the
Zenith. I'm thinking about the Zenith. Okay, but either one of them, if it's one of those that are already out there, then I agree with you. It might stall the sales. But if it's a brand new weapon that we haven't seen, that would be really, really cool. It would be really cool if they put out the crossbow. If they put the crossbow out, oh my God! Could you imagine if they put the crossbow in here? These things will sell like crazy. I don't know if CIG is going to do that.
I apologize for rolling my eyes right now because the crossbow has been on people's list forever.
I know.
So I'm like, yeah, okay, Griff. I'm okay, Griff.
Y'all mark it down. The Griff said the crossbow. Okay, y'all mark it down for a month from now. Okay, and we'll see what happens. But yeah, I could also understand the bit of trepidation here because there's a lot of unknowns, and unknowns could be looked at in a good way or not so good way. Because there have been times we've gotten stuff that wasn't all that great. So we'll see. We'll see what happens.
Like a handlebar.
Yeah, like a handlebar, right? Yeah. Okay. or just JPEGs, period. It's just the handlebar. Okay. So that's that one. Let's take a look at what was up next. Okay. I don't remember which button is the next one. I hope this is the right one. No, that's not the right one. This one's next, I think. Yeah. Let's talk about this one next. Yeah, Pirate Week. Let's make sure I'm picking the right one, y'all. Okay, Pirate Week launched this week. I'm going to use Serious on this one. Any feelings from the Pirate Week page? Did it capture your eye? Is it you're not interested, not your lifestyle, or are you curious to go out there and get the pirate code and do all that stuff that they got set up for us?
Well, I'm interested in the pirate code. I'm interested in the gamified aspects of it, right?
Okay.
I am not a pirate.
Mm-hmm.
It's not to say that I wouldn't necessarily fail to undertake piracy. I just would like to I don't know, I'd like to see it begin to be fleshed out in a slightly different way, but that's a whole other conversation. When it comes to this page,
Mm-hmm.
I like the layout of the page. I like some of the skins.
Mm-hmm.
It's not driving me to make any purchases, but I am interested in the code and the gamified gameplay aspect of it. Right, so.
Okay. FC, how about you? Anything that stood out to you with what was listed here for the Pirate Week page?
I am here for the code and I'm here for the Meridian skins. I haven't gotten them yet, but yeah. The other thing is I forgot to mention the goodies pack is only Warbond. So that's the other thing. You got to pay real cash for that. You can't use RSI credit for that. But the skins and everything for Pirate Week, you can use RSI credit for it. I'm probably gonna get. See, I have 3 or 4 ships, so I might get the 4-paint pack, even though it's not saving me any, or I could just save it down and just get 3 separate ones. But yeah, I have everything except for the Eclipse. So I'm probably gonna pick up the Meridian pack. I'm not interested in this Skull and Bone stuff at all, though.
Okay.
Yeah, let me stop lying real quick. Let me just stop lying. I did buy the Mercury Star Runner Meridian pack. Meridian.
Okay. All right.
Okay.
Yeah, I feel you.
Yeah, the Meridian paint's nice. It is a nice paint. I will say this on those paints, there are 8 of them, if I'm not mistaken. Some of those paints I like because they actually, unless you look at them, like if you look at them hard, you see the skull. Otherwise, it just looks like a design. And then there are other ones where the skull is like blatantly obvious on it. I'm not into piracy. I mean, I think piracy is cool, but it's not my gameplay. But I like what they did. I like the design of it. I did see that there's who was this, Mitch? I think it was Axis was talking to me about this, that they have this. Did you guys see where they have those crates that you also get? Like if you buy the 2 sets of armors, there's pirate crates that you get. And then the other one is if you don't get the 2 suits of armor, the other one is if you get the ship paints, you get like 4 sets of crates as well, which I thought was interesting. One of the reasons why is because one of my frustrations with us doing cargo right now, and I know CIG told us later on we'll be able to put labels on crates, and different color crates will mean this is something that's cold or this is something that's volatile or whatever, combustible, whatever. But the fact that those pirate crates are there, which is kind of nice, so that you can identify those crates specifically. If you put loot or something in them, you know that that's what those crates are. So I'm looking forward to later on that this being able to identify crates and what you put in them will start to become a real thing, not just in relation to the piracy thing, but eventually they'll just start letting us label crates that way, or at least they'll give us crates that you can buy and label for different things.
I do have a request. Anybody figure out the pod code, feel free to ping me in our Discord.
No, don't tell them. Don't tell them. Make them work for it. Make them work for it.
Or give me some hints.
Yeah, give them a hint. Yeah, you can give them a clue. You can point them in the direction, maybe. That'll be about it. Okay, well, that's good. Pirate Week is, again, for those of you who are, it's funny. I want to say one last thing about piracy. Do you guys remember when they did the video? It was either last year before for the Corsair. Year before, I think it was. When they did the whole the ASMR. Do you remember that? Yeah. How did you guys feel about that?
One. Yeah.
How did you guys feel about that?
I enjoyed it. I thought it was different. Mm-hmm. I liked the long form nature of it. I liked the audio and the soundscape of it, where they brought in different pirate chants and different things like that, and the Corsair in different contexts. And I thought what they were connoting was the idea that there was an opportunity to live a pirate life on the ship, right? And they tried to show the aspects of a whole way of being in Star Citizen's world on that ship. And then after that video, you saw content creators create videos where they were trying to live on the ship, right? So I think they got the same connotation. So
okay. FC, you kind of went like, what were your thoughts about it?
I do enjoy ASMR videos. That one didn't really catch my attention. Maybe because of after 10 or 11 years, I forget what year that one came. You said 2 years ago. So after so many years, I'm more into like show me like explodings and explosions and story and stuff like that. So I'm like an ASMR video. Okay, that's different. It didn't make me interested in the Corsair though. So yeah, maybe that was the whole thing. If it was like an ASMR video with the Endeavor or Benny Mercerman, maybe I would have been more for it.
Oh boy. Serious, I think it's because nobody was like blowing in the little rubber ear thing, or rattling stuff. That probably he might have liked that better. I don't know. Maybe that's what it was. I don't know.
I'm into unintentional ASMR, not intentional ASMR.
Yeah,
I'm into intentional.
Yeah, I actually like that video because it was different. And the whole, like you said, the thing of the shanty songs and the sounds, it gave that idea of what it would be like. I don't know. I'm going back to old movies where you'd be out at sea and you could just hear the sound of the waves outside or the creaking of the ship. It kind of took me back to that kind of thing, and maybe there will be people who will, like you said, decide to live the pirate life like that. I think it's just a possibility. The folks, all they want to hear is the sound of the guns banging, and that's it. But I thought it was a very cool video. Okay, let's get to the heavier parts of our conversation. This week we had a Star Citizen Live, which was there was much anticipation for from earlier this year, where Disco had the opportunity to meet with Benoit Beausejour. They said that 6 months later they would follow up with having another, kind of giving us an update on where things were. And they did that this week, and the show ran for almost 3 hours. It was 2 hours and I don't remember how many minutes it was, 2 hours and 58 minutes. It was a long time.
Yeah.
But it was a very lengthy conversation, and it was very free-formed conversation where Disco just kind of gave, Benoit some questions and let him answer them till he was through talking about the particular subject. And so I know for some folks, this was a long time, a lot of technical conversation. Fastcart, I'll go to you first this time on this one. You can give me a general feeling about the conversation, and then if there's any particular topics that you see on the screen right now, any of those subtopics you want to talk about. I mean, you can go by your screen. I mean, it's whatever's on here is on the sheet. So if there's something on the sheet, it just falls under one of these categories. So just feel free to jump in.
I thought the Wolf Bug was interesting because they gave us a mini Big Buckmasters kind of aspect for that. I recommend people who are into it to go watch it. But basically, they explain why people weren't exiting the wolf correctly, and I think it went on for like 5 minutes. But basically, there's a bug, and it took them forever to find a bug because it took them a long time to find a bug, but once they figured it out, everybody was happy, and so I thought that was interesting. I don't have to own the Wolf myself, but I did. I was a subscriber when the Wolf came out, so I had it for a little bit, and I tried it out. It's a cool little ship. I didn't encounter the bug myself, but yeah, it's a cool little ship. But yeah, I thought that was interesting.
Yeah.
Okay. One more, the transit system. They're gonna change the trams and elevators into what is it? Starport. That's what it is. That's what it says. Starport. So they're gonna. Hey, thank you for the subscription.
Thank you, Cordius. Thank you.
So the trams and elevators are some of the oldest systems of code that Star Citizen had. And rather than try to put a band-aid on it, they're just going to try to rewrite it from the ground up to make it work with silver mesh and everything.
Okay. Sirius, is there anything on what he talked about you want to give some comment to, or did you want to introduce some things that caught your eye?
Well, I'll comment on the wolf bug. I thought that was interesting because John Crew and Benoit themselves were going at it. They couldn't figure it out. They had to bring back Mark Abent, Bug Smasher, for him to just surface a different idea. And the idea was around gravity, and that ended up being part of the root cause, which I thought was just interesting, right? In that, people have to remember that game development is some mix of logical process and some mix of art and insight, right? And sometimes it's about noodling enough on what something could be in order to then direct resources. And I thought that was interesting. And the other thing that I thought was interesting that I took from, I mean, there were lots of interesting things, right? And this is the type of video that I like to come back to multiple times, and I get something different from it each time, and that's the type of rich content that I appreciate in this open development journey from CIG. And it doesn't always have to be Benoit, but when it has that characteristic, I enjoy it. But in this particular one of the things that stood out was how much Benoit in this role is spending time, and Fastcart hinted at it, going back and addressing how stuff was done before to bring it up to a certain standard of what they want to do now.
Yeah.
Right. So lots of times we think, well, they're done with that. They're not done with that. Right. And in fact, they can't be done with some of that because they have to go back and address it as legacy code in the new context. Right. That will make some people very frustrated, right? But I think it doesn't bother me because I think it's a fundamental reality of where we are. And I do want them to bring things into a place that's going to function for 1.0 and beyond, right? My hope is that 1.0 also represents the idea that that work of going back and dealing with any legacy code that won't work is done, right?
Yeah.
You don't want to be 13 star systems beyond 1.0 and they're talking about legacy code back from 2014, right? So that for me was interesting. And I also thought it was interesting that Jared, I think, had in some of his questions, I felt like had the pulse of some of the things that frustrate some of the longer term backers like myself, right? You know, he talked about ATC, for example, and they got into that. You know, that's the type of thing that you'd want a smoother flow and a more interesting, enjoyable experience from. And he pointed that out. That was nice. And there were several pieces of like that. So I was educated. This was a video that educated me. And I think, like I said, the richness of that I think remains important, particularly, you know, you've been in the project since 2013. To still be deeply educated on the work, I think was worthy of our time, worthy of my time in any case. So I enjoyed it.
Yeah.
How about you, Griff?
Well, there were a couple areas I thought were insightful, just the statements that were insightful versus topics. One of the statements was about how they would get content out and get it to the best place it could possibly be, but knew that they would have to go back and address it still. And I'm saying that because there are plenty of times when I've you know, talked to folks in the community, and there's a feeling of, well, they shouldn't release it until it's working, right? But CIG also has this, whether it's self-imposed or community imposed, or maybe a little bit of both, there's this expectation of seeing progress with the game. And I don't know, maybe I'll ask you guys this question, or ask chat this question. Would we, and I'm not going to say you because it's a collective thing, would we prefer that CIG not release things until they are at the most optimum space? And if we say yes to that, are we really willing to sit in that space? In other words, something might be ready to come out like this month, like this thing that they're working on might, let's say it takes them 4 months. Okay, and we get it. But then let's say the next thing that they're doing takes 11 months to do it. Now, when we get it, it's working. But for 11 months from that last patch, nothing has changed. Now, I'm not saying yay or nay to this. I'm just saying that would be the reality. And quite many open development processes, right? They open up a game for a weekend or a few weeks for people to play it, and then they shut down the doors. And it's like, we'll get back to you when we're ready to do the next one. And there are plenty of games that operate that way. People go on with living and do other stuff. And then when it's time for the next thing to come out, they play it, right? I know there was a lot of controversy with Ashes of Creation because they did that recently, but because such a period of time went by, when the next opening came up, they charged people to be able to get in and do that. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that model. I'm just saying that was their model. So I don't know. What do you guys think? Is it better to regularly, whether that's quarterly or twice a year, put out stuff, and so that there's that the community feels that they sense or feel that there's progress, and it's not working that great, but you know, we go through the X patches of the ones and the 0.1s, 0.2 until we get it there? Or do you think it's best for the psychology of the community to, no, let's work without that pressure of feeling like we got to get it out, we got to get it out, we got to get it out. It's the third quarter, fourth quarter, but we'll get it out when it's ready. And do you think the community actually would hang in there if that time, which back in 2015 was a fastcart? What year was that? We waited a whole year for a patch, and people went ape.
3.0.
Yeah, people went ape. You know, I don't know. What do you guys think? Whoever wants to jump in on that. And Chad, I'm seeing what you guys are saying too. You know. Our guys.
That's all right. You can go first. All right, I can go. I got a lot to say on this one. So
I figured you do. That's how I'm gonna let you go. I'll try to be quick. Yeah, I don't think the community is. I mean, it depends because I want to say that I want to give a nuanced answer, even though you want a yes or no, it's a yes or no question. It depends on what CRG is developing or putting out. Like, I think it's evident from the crowdfunding that the monthly passes are doing well for CIG. People are seem to me that people are appreciating the fewer bugs and the higher stability of the game. That said, it's I don't want to say it's fewer features. It's fewer big features like server messing or to something like pyro for instance. So I think it depends on a person, but I think for the most part people are happier with more patches and more progress as compared to having fewer patches but bigger progress as the case may be. Because like you said, I was going to bring it up too.
But
That
but
3.0
but here's the reality though, to what you're saying. The reality of it is that even though we're having frequent patches, we've had bugs that have been staying with us. The freight elevator thing, all those activities that they tried to drop, like Hathor, the Align Mine, all this stuff, they've had problems pushing out stuff every month. They have not been able to keep their cadence up with which is one of the reasons why people felt like that idea of replayability was not a reality, because the stuff that they were putting out was broken. I'm saying would they do better not putting out the next chapter of ASD until it's working. And if that takes 3 months or 9 months, do you think it's better to wait for the quality of play and go without for 9 months? Or is it better to get something that makes you feel like there's some progress and we just kind of beat our way through until it gets better?
Okay, for something like ASD, I think it would probably be better to wait until it's polished and working correctly. For that feature specifically, yes, I would think the community would prefer to wait.
Okay.
But I was going to say, like you mentioned that 3.0 wait, it was like an entire year. Disco Lando made a deal with the community, saying he's not gonna shave his beard until 3.0 came out, and it was long, and he couldn't wait to get rid of that thing. So he learned his lesson for that. I don't think he's going to ever do that again. But yeah, I don't think.
So you'd rather you have no problem waiting. You have no problem waiting 8-9 months for a patch.
I did not back then.
No, I'm talking about now. I'm talking about now. I'm not talking about back then.
Back then, it depends on what they're promising, really.
No. Different patches have different things, right? I said some patches might take 3 months. Some patches might take 9 months. I'm asking you, are you okay with that type of cadence where you just don't know? What's going to determine a patch coming out is when it's ready.
If I don't know, I would have an issue with it. If they communicate what they're working on, that's the other issue, communication.
No. Fastcart.
Wait. Let me finish. If they communicate what they're working on and give us a heads up of what's coming up, I would probably be okay. But if it's in a vacuum, I would probably have issues with it.
The vacuum is not a vacuum. I want to make sure I'm making this clear. Let's say that they say this next patch, like let's say they said this next patch is engineering fire in this. Okay, they've told you what it's going to be. And the next patch happens to take longer than the last patch. So instead of 3 months, that patch takes 11 months. I'm asking, are you okay with that type of cadence? Or would you rather still have regular drops and you're willing to deal with the, game maybe not being at 100%? That's my question. Which one do you prefer?
I think I would prefer to wait.
Okay.
Me personally.
Okay. That's fair.
Yeah.
Serious? How about you?
Well, first of all, to answer your question directly, I'm somebody who's in the game every day, so I want to see something different every day. But the broader question that you asked first, I feel like that was a narrowing of the thing we could explore here. The broader thing that I think we were exploring first was this idea of without the specifics, do we have a culture? Can we have a culture of waiting till something is better, or or this culture of sort of get it out and let's see.
Yes.
And I, people have been getting at it in the chat. I think Flero got at it pretty well, which is there's a psychology to this thing, right? It's not just what we can do when the patch drops, but it's how the project, when it touches us, makes us feel, right? So, for those of us who have been around since Hangar Module, how we felt was that whatever was in there, even if it was just go into the hangar and walk around your Aurora and sit down and get out and look around, we were in control of our ability to go in anytime we wanted and do what was available, right? And so when you compare it to like Ashes of Creation, Star Citizen could have had that model then. It'd be hard to implement that model now, right?
Okay.
Because you've already educated and trained and given a psychology of relationship to backers that there's going to be this regular engagement, this regular touch. They're going to be able to go in and do what they want to do. To turn the faucet off and turn on the, well, we'll see you when we got something to show you, right? You could have started with that model,
right?
And then you would have educated us to that model. Then we would feel that that's the model, right?
Right.
But that would feel like taking something away at this point for me, right? And so, I don't, and I can say this, I don't know what my backing amounts would have been.
Okay.
If the model was, you ain't playing Star Citizen except for like 4 weekends or 5 weekends or even 10 weekends a year, right? When we have something to give you because we don't want to, or we can't afford. And I definitely don't know what my funding relationship with the thing would have been if they had been like, and now here's a new weekend and here's a new amount you have to pay to gain access, right?
Yeah.
I can tell you that my funding relationship with Ashes of Creation is very different than my funding relationship with Star Citizen, right? So, and part of that is because I play the game, warts and all the time.
Now, let me stop you there for a second, because you're leading into my next question. Would we be able to fund the game the way we have if we were to go to the longer model where we're willing to wait? Because I think that's the other issue. I'm looking at the numbers for Ashes of Creation. Ashes of Creation's Kickstarter made $3.2 million. In 2023, they still had to kick in $80 million out of their company, Intrepid's company, to offset them. So my question is, does that cadence that we get, is that also, to your point, Sirius, psychologically, the same thing that makes people continue to open their wallet and keep the doors of CIG open, versus if you go 10, 11 months, even if you sell ships, would you still get that type of revenue?
Yeah, I can only speak for me, and then I'll let fastcart go. But I can tell you that for me, I'm not sure, but I imagine that out of sight is out of mind and out of pocket. Right?
Okay.
So if I can't play you, it feels like you're not thinking about me. I'm not thinking about you. Right?
Yeah.
So this model is different, and I engage with it differently, and I play the game, almost every day. So fastcart, what are your thoughts?
I think we can see from the evidence from the crowdfunding charts and everything like that, this has been a very successful year crowdfunding wise because of the cadence of the patches. Putting out a patch almost every month except for April. This has been a record-breaking crowdfunding year for them. So it seems evident that putting out more patches per year makes them more money. Now, I have to look. I don't think they made the wait between the patch before 3.0 and that long wait. I don't think they made as much money Or it doesn't feel like they made as much money. Well, they didn't. They definitely didn't make as much money that they made last year. But I mean, comparable
Proportionately,
to,
yeah,
previous
proportionately.
years,
Yeah.
yeah, proportionally, yeah.
Okay. Okay. All right. Well, that was my first one. I had two things. I'm gonna make my second one fast then, because we got to get to our final subject. And that was the section on server meshing, which I think was good because someone, thankfully, Disco asked, and I know this has come up in conversations before, but he was very direct and he asked Benoit, why is our server meshing different? Server meshing has been around in many a games for the longest time. What distinguishes, why is ours so different or difficult or unique? And Benoit did talk about that. By the way, I want to give a shout out to Grolo, a good friend of ours who's been on the show before. Grolo is doing, those of you all know he's a software engineer. He is doing a 3-part breakdown on Benoit's video. So if you, I think Sirius, you said this earlier, this is one of those videos. It's kind of like watching CitizenCon, where you go back and watch it later and you get some more stuff from it. Grolo did a watch through it. I would suggest if you want to hear from an engineer standpoint, the things that he had, Grolo's, when there's something CIG doesn't make sense, he mentions that. But if it's something that makes sense, he kind of breaks it down into layman's terms, and he does a great thing on the whiteboard when he talks about what's going on with server meshing. And even after I've seen as many server meshing videos as I've seen, his breakdown opened it up even more for me in the sense of describing what the complications are as to why this is a big deal that CIG is doing and what makes server meshing a unique development, particularly for Star Citizen. It is definitely something that has not been done. And according to him, he has never seen any game do what they are doing. So, sometimes we hear people say, they're doing something nobody else does, saying, server meshing has been around forever. No, it's the type of server meshing that they're doing that's very different. So I want to just say, check that part out again with Benoit, but definitely check out Grolo's videos. He's got really, really, really cool stuff on there, which I thought was very, very, very interesting. I know you mentioned.
By the way, Shirt Fan, Shirt Fan, I think you got a new fan with Flaro, so you should send him back.
Flaro's been my fan, and I've been his fan. That's nothing new.
All right. Well, there were, as you guys can see on the screen, there were a lot of topics. And I did appreciate the fact that many of the topics that Disco pulled were things that the community has been asking about. And I'm glad that sometimes we feel like they kind of pull some softball topics to talk about. But these were some pretty direct things that we know we've heard the community talking about in the past. So want to tell them thanks for that follow up. And then also for the fact that they did keep their word. And I know some people said that they were hoping for more of a, not what has been the problem and what you've been working on, but they want more of something a little bit more revelatory, something that's talking about where are we going, what's next. And I think that the reason why we didn't get that is because they're saving that for CitizenCon. That's my personal feelings. I think that that's probably what we're going to be getting a little bit more. I think it's going to be where we are right now and what's about to happen, not 10 years down the road, but something that's much more immediate. And I think that's why they kind of wanted to talk about those things that have bothered the community. Like why we're always asking, why haven't they? Why didn't they? Why do they? I think that was what this show was about. So, okay. Last topic on the roster for us this week, PTU. Boom. We're already looking at the next PTU. We know that the CIG wanted to September probably drop this next patch. They did just this week. I know SeriousFun over there can't contain himself. Mr. the RSI ambassador got another RSI ship introduced into the universe. This one people have been waiting on for quite a while. It also brought a lot of controversy because CIG launched, and I would say somewhat anticipated, unexpected, but not unknown, the implementation of Medical 2.0. They have brought forward, starting to point us in the direction of where they want the medical profession to start to build out. And so, Sirius, I'm going to go to you first, you being the RSI ambassador. And I know that you do own an Apollo. So any thoughts? What do you got?
Well, what's important to recognize is that everybody's life has gotten better as a result of yet another quality Robert Space Industries platform in the game. In the game, this is the Universe Sim.
Why, Griff? Why?
And we are blessed to have 2 new additions to that set the tone, the agenda, and the framework for what you did say, Griff, which was the Medgel experience, right? The Medgel controversy, the Medgel drama. No, I have a medevac, and it's bittersweet, to be frank with you.
Okay.
I will say that, because on the one hand, I do imagine a good portion of this for my my ongoing experience. I do imagine serving as a medic, or as a back of the forward edge of battle medical ship. And so this is that ship, and it can do that work. But the reason I bought the medevac was those drones and that drone experience. And so when you're waiting and waiting and waiting, and you get the it was about a year and a half, maybe 2 years ago, that we got that RSI beacon that you can now put on your person. And we were all wondering, will that beacon be the thing you put down next to an injured person that the drone comes down to? And we had a lot of speculation. And I had a life of the mind around the medevac and the drone, the bed, that was, that I was able to hold on to up until John Crew the other day was like, yeah, we haven't really figured out how we want to do that. So we may do it, but we're not doing it right now. And then I started to think, all right, well, I still am interested in this life, this medic life, but how is this ship going to be authentically and actionably different than the triage ship, right? And they got at some of that with the missiles and with the armor. But I thought that I still miss my concept ship, right? Even though I've gone into the PTU and I do like the medevac, and I do like the modules, I'm still missing. I still got to get over that. Yeah. So that's where I am with the ship right now.
Yeah. Well, I'll ask you the question again. Would you have rather waited until they got? I'm just kidding.
The answer is no. I want my stuff right now.
Oh boy!
Well, all I can tell you is you have to get in line, because I've had a reclaimer since 2016, 17, and I don't have my drones or anything. So, I know I feel your pain, and I believe that will be something, because there's so many ships, the Carrack, there's so many ships that they've talked about the drone work, even the Nautilus. So I think it will be a matter of time. And I can understand it would have been nice, but we also knew drones are not there yet. They're not there. And Go ahead, Fastcart.
I'm listening to these guys complain, and meanwhile, I'm waiting for my Endeavor to come out sometime after 1.0. But y'all go ahead. Y'all have fun.
Yeah, that's why my complaining is measured, right? Because Carrack folks, when they hear about drones, they're looking at me with the side eye, right? Reclaimer folks, when they hear about drones, they're looking at me with the side eye, right? So I'm not. I said it's a facet that I have to get over, and I have enjoyed taking the ship out in PTU, stocking the ship, thinking and learning the ship. Thinking about how I want to use those cargo bays for medical supplies and other things. So I am enjoying it, right? And it's RSI and its layout and configuration, so that's always enjoyable.
Yeah. I haven't gone on the ship yet. I know you the other day you showed it to me in Discord, and I got to see it. But I am looking forward to taking a walk. You're always nice enough to give me a walkthrough on your RSI ships, and Fastcart, I have to listen to the propaganda when I'm with him, but at least I get to go through it.
Not the propaganda. Oh, you poor soul.
So yeah, I will definitely be willing to take a look at that. FC. By the way, let me stop you real quick. The other thing too is, I know we were talking about the Apollo, but was there anything else about the PTU that stuck out to you, Sirius, other than that? I know we've got the new parts of the ASD Onyx missions that are getting introduced. Was there anything else, or we can just stop on that if we want to? I know we're watching our time.
Well, I don't want to talk too much about that, because there's a lot of spoilers there, but I will say that the tension that kicks up in the community around changes like the med gel and the pricing and the rate of respawn and all that. I think is the right tension, sometimes wrongly applied, but I think it's the right tension, right? Because what it is ultimately is feedback, right? And CIG needs to hear our feedback. They need folks of good faith to go in and say, this is how this feels. This is how this is usable. This is how I'm projecting I'm going to use it. This is how I might not use it as a result, right? And try stuff out and give that feedback. So I knew that the first iteration that they rolled out was going to be challenged and changed because we've got that history with the project. And you know, when you have $15 million in the PTU and then you go over to the store or the hospital and you buy 30 med gel containers and that's $3 million, you do a double take and you go, wait a minute, 3 million, and then you go, okay, and it makes you think about it from the perspective of, I want Stuff in Star Citizen to be a real choice and a real consequence, and this is getting at that. My guess is it'll iterate on price and that mix of stats further. But that felt right, right? And some people in the community will want to hit me on the head for saying that because they'll say, when you say that, CIG won't change it again. I don't think that's the game they play, but it was moving in the direction of consequence, and that's what I like about the universe sim. So
yeah, last week Yo-Yo and I were on talking about it when we got implemented, and the one thing we said yesterday to everybody, relax, they're going to adjust the numbers. It's going to be percentage based. They're going to get the health stuff done, and lo and behold, 2-3 days later, boom, it happened, and it's going to get tweaked again, guarantee you know. So it's got to be worked out over time. FC, what about you? The Apollo, did you get a chance to look at it? Do you own one? Not your gameplay?
I did not own one, but I did get a miniature in Discord, similar to you. Okay. It looks nice. I love the way it looks, and I love this color scheme. Like, if it was different game style or gameplay, I would be tempted to get one. But you know, I have a big fleet, but I don't really have a dedicated medical ship. So I'm kind of thinking about it, but I'm not going to get it at this time. But I do like to look. I do love the Star Trek. What is it? Utopia Planitia look at the people that been calling it, and in the cells. I do like the style of it. As far as the Medgel stuff, yeah, I don't. It's going to be interesting what CID decides to settle on when it comes to price and how many uses you can get depending on what tier bet you have. So I'm looking forward to seeing their final, not final decision, but what they land on by the time 4.3.1 goes live.
Yeah. You know, some of this is what I guess we would consider it sticker shock from a system where nobody had to pay for it before. So now you have to. So right. I think that's part of it too. You know, there's a certain, for those of us who knew this was coming, it was like, okay, this is where they're at. All right, we're starting to go to the next step. For other people, it was like, where the heck did this come from? You know what I mean? So I think it's a matter of people's perspective of knowing that at some point medical gameplay would begin to become fleshed out, and it has to be a part of the economy. I know there was a lot of controversy because we talked about this last week, the whole thing with the C8R, you know, the not the C8, the NERSA, and I came back 1,000 times. Yeah, you'll come back 1,000 times now, but you'll pay $1 million for it. That's the difference, right? You can still come back 1,000 times if you want to. So this is going to be something that's going to evolve. So just give it time. Continue to give the suggestions to what feels good, what doesn't feel good, you know, and believe me, the medical gameplay is going to take some time. Just like mining took time to flesh out. This is going to take time to flesh out. But at least to your point, Sirius, we're starting to see the importance of it being implemented into the game. So I think that's good stuff. Good stuff.
For you, Griff, do you have any out of these?
No, I had one long time ago and I got rid of it because I kind of felt like once the C8 the Pisces came out and then the Nurse, I was like, I'll work for the Apollo later. I'm still trying to tell myself not to get it because I do have a Cuddy Red, but that's because it's in a package. So I've got that, so right now it's like I'll work for it. It's not priced into some crazy, it won't be priced into some weird category. I've got to do like an ultra grind for it. So I have no problem working for a ship like an Apollo. But I do.
The medical Terrapin came out. I almost got rid of it. I was very close.
Yeah, really?
Yeah.
Very close.
What made you decide not to?
Medical Terrapin is not RSI. That's an easy question.
Oh God.
That was a dumb question. My bad.
God. Oh my God.
Bad.
Okay, fair enough. All right, so those are our topics from Star Citizen this week. We're right on our point. We're going to go ahead and take a very quick commercial break, and when we come back, we are going to chat with you all about our topic for today, which is making a game and building a universe. So stick around for a minute. Is it Fizex, thank you for the follow. Appreciate that. We really appreciate you being here. See you being here. Also, is it T Hasi? Boy, y'all got some names. Y'all making us work today, boy. That was from 5 days ago. I didn't see that was from 5 days ago. But thank you guys for being here. We'll be right back. We're gonna take a quick commercial break. Just stick around 1 minute, and we'll see you in a second. We'll get started. Hello, everyone who's out there. If you are watching us, as always, that means you're a supporter of the Soul Citizens. And I want to say, I'm going to let everybody say something today. Thank you all for being here. We really appreciate you all being here. Next week's show is going to be on the Apollo in the medical field. So we're going to be talking about that. I'm going to send it over to Sirius real quick and then Fastcart, and then we're going to close it out.
Well, it's a blessing to have you all. You know that, Soul Citizens has been around for 5 years. And more now, and part of that is because of you. So we're just very thankful. We like to begin and end in gratitude, and we appreciate you. Fastcart.
Yeah, I want to say similarly, we are thankful, very thankful for people to come out. New Soul Sound. Speaking of thankful, thank you for the subscription for Prime sub. 47 months. That's 4 years. That's almost as long as you've been around. So thank you for that, and appreciate it. So thank you.
Mm-hmm. All righty, we are back. And our topic today is, it's interesting that this, I don't know if the old psychic powers are kicking in again, but in light of the conversation that was held this week with Benoit Beausejour and Disco Lando. I was trying to call him Jared Huckabee because I was trying to figure out his name. We are kind of touching a little bit on some of what we may have heard, those of you who watched the episode for the SCL. We're going to be kind of touching on some of that. Our conversation here is distinguishing. Sometimes there's been these discussions in the community about the development time, right? Or comparisons to other games. And true enough, there are plenty of things about Star Citizen that are formula. There are things that are, that in any video game, they're there, mechanics, technically, aesthetically, whatever. But then there's also the fact that Star Citizen is trying to, at least as they say, push boundaries and push into other areas that maybe some other games haven't done. And that's not necessarily in every aspect of the game, but there are certain areas. Do you guys remember back when CIG did this thing? This was way back when we had Delamar. And do you guys remember they did this thing where they said that they showed the size of Skyrim? It was in the crater of a moon or something. Fastcard, do you remember what the detail was on that?
I don't remember the exact details, no, but it was like one of the moons, one of the planetoids, moonoids, whatever you call it. Mm-hmm. It was the size of Skyrim was a fraction of the surface area of that planetoid.
Yeah, it sat like literally in the crater of it. And yeah, you could fit it into a crater. Yes, thank you, Cyberwolf. And yeah, I knew you didn't mean fidget. You could fit it in. Oh, hey, Jade. Yeah, Jade said, yeah, it wasn't on Delamar. Yeah. And so, one of the issues that Benoit talked about, the distinguishes, and also I mentioned to you about what Grollo said. Grollo said the exact same thing. Grollo said one of the things that distinguishes Star Citizen and what they're doing is the scale. the actual scale of the game. And don't get me wrong, we have other games out there like Elite Dangerous. Oh my God, this huge scale. But the level of what they're incorporating into that scale is really the thing that makes it outstanding. It's one thing,
scale with detail.
With detail, right? Grollo gave this example of saying, it's one thing to have an area and you put 300 people in it, or 500 people, whatever the number is, and servers can handle that or whatever. He says, but then after you put 300 people in there, now add based upon CIG's numbers, right? Now let's add another 700 or 3,000 or whatever. No, it will be, if it's 310, let's add another 2,000 NPCs. And then not only that, let's talk about the fact that those 300 people are all wearing clothing or armor or weapons and this, that, and the other, or they have backpacks with 800 other items and elements in it, and then there's stuff that's in the environment that is accessible, like the water bottles, or there's all this stuff that's being compiled in these containers, right? That's being built out over a system. So you have a universe, and the universe has two systems, and then you go to a system, and you've got planets and moons, and then you go and you keep breaking down. And all this stuff is being built out. So there's a lot involved in being able to create a game versus universe. So we're going to talk about the game part first, right? These elements of it. In fastcart and Serious, you guys can just jump in on whenever you want to with this, but I'm going to do these two definitions here. When you're creating a universe is the world building, and that's a lot to that. It's narrative, it's lore, while building a video game is the technical process of designing and developing the playable software. 2, a universe can exist independently of the game, but the game cannot exist without its underlying technical structure. So it's interesting because for many of us, Star Citizen started as a universe. You know what I mean, guys? The tech wasn't there, right? Chris Roberts showed us a video. And then in the early years, the lore team came in and started filling out some stuff, right? And that was the universe part, right? But all the technical stuff still had to be built. I think you said it earlier, Serious. In the early days, all we had was a hangar that nothing worked in, right? The only thing that worked was flipping a helmet, and that was it, right? All the technical stuff had to be built out, but the universe was being built out in narrative and in lore long time ago, which is, when you think about it, kind of interesting. You guys jump in on those two definitions real quick about game versus universe.
Yeah, I mean, I this is one way, this is one cut at it, right? And I think it's a reasonable cut at it. For me, my cut at it is a game is played and a universe is experienced, right? Or lived in, right? So when I go to, when I think about Star Citizen, I want to have experiences in it, and I want to live a life out in it, right? That is different than playing a game, right? I play Spider-Man Miles Morales because I'm playing as Spider-Man. I turn it on, I turn it off, but I don't think about what's happening when I'm not there, right? Nothing's happening when I'm not there because I'm Miles, and it's only on when I'm there, right? Versus, a universe sim like Elite Dangerous or Star Citizen, the universe is going even when you're not there, and it's also isn't necessarily centered on you as the singular hero of the narrative, right? Like you are making your way, right? And so I feel like those for me are how I distinguish universes from games. Universes I'm trying to exist and experience and live in, and games I play.
You said something that's interesting, Fastcart. If you want to touch on this a little bit, I didn't think about it this way, but something you just said is the fact that a universe can also be a place that exists whether you're there or not. Right. There's the game that you turn on, and once you shut it off, nothing happens. There's the other game that you play, and when you come back, something has happened. Something has changed. people have done something to impact the universe. I know fastcart, my question is to you, have you played any games that literally was like a universe? Like I played Second Life. You could come in and next day you come, there's something built somewhere that wasn't there before. I played Pax Day is like that. Pax Day is running all the time, right? You come back and you say, oh, when I get back tomorrow, I'm going to build on this lot. Then you get there and somebody's built some freaking mansion out there before you got back, right? The world was moving whether you were there or not. FC, have you ever had any game or anything like that where you've like lived in a universe, or have you just been pretty much the static stuff where you turn it on, turn it off, and that's it?
Yeah, I'm trying to get over the fact that I'm not the center of the universe. Like, how is that possible? No, I'm kidding. I think EVE Online it looks like that, but that's an MMO. That definitely been going on for ages, and I stopped playing back in 2011. So, another one, I want to say X4. There's X4. X4 has a save file, but doesn't that the time or whatever? I didn't play it as much. So, is X4 like that?
I don't know. It's a good question.
I would not say X4 is like that. I think X4, like when you, it's not quite the same in that.
Not quite the same. Okay.
When you turn the game off, it sort of pauses where you were.
Okay.
And you come back. But there are Eve-like features in the building out of your economic areas and empire that have some of that, but it's not like Eve in that timers are running down and things are happening while you're offline. It's not really that.
What about No Man's Sky? What about No Man's Sky? Is that because that universe changes, right? Doesn't it? Doesn't that universe change? I don't know about the bigger universe in that game.
No Man's Sky has timers, but I don't know if it has actions that happen while you're not there. Other people go online and play in those community events.
Yeah, but I thought it did. I thought if other people name systems and stuff, I would see that.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
That's true.
Yeah, so it's got components of that. Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Building.
If I'm in my settlement and I'm the mayor of the settlement, I might just have to wait another 24 hours before I can make another decision. Right. That doesn't feel the same as across those 24 hours things are happening.
Right. Okay. Gotcha. Okay. All right. Let's
but basically in an MMO can exist without you. Like, but for a single player game, it's harder to find an example like that.
Okay, gotcha. Now, Coffee says that No Man's Sky is only MMO on the stations, I think. Okay. See, I played it, but whenever I'm playing it, I'm by myself. I at one point I played with a group. It was Dark Knight, and were you out there, Fastcart, with us? Dark Knight, and a bunch of us were running around, and that was fun. I enjoyed playing No Man's Sky when I was playing with a group of people. But I do not like playing it by myself. But I just, you guys have heard me say this before. I like playing games with other people now more than I like playing solo games. Okay, let's talk about this building a video game side of this thing, right? Before we start talking about the universe. Making a video game. This is the practical, technical process of turning a game universe into interactive experience. It is a multidisciplinary practice that involves. Fastcard, why don't you take the first one there? What's the very first one?
Now, programming, writing the code for the game engine, gameplay mechanics, and character behaviors.
Okay. We'll just go down. Go ahead and you can read all of them.
Read it. Design, creating the rules, challenges, and overall structure of the game, as well as designing specific levels and interfaces.
Keep going.
Okay. So I'm looking at the screen. That was design, right? So art and audio, producing all visual assets such as character models and textures, and creating the music and sound effects. Production, managing the development process to ensure the game is completed on schedule. Quality assurance, testing the game to identify and fix bugs and ensure it works as intended. Okay,
thank you, sir. Appreciate that. Let's go back to these other ones here. Programming. I mentioned this. I've been mentioning this over the last couple of weeks that I've painfully went back and started watching the Wingman's Hangar episodes. Last year I started watching the 10 for the Chairmans, and I decided to go all the way back and watch the Wingmans because when I came into the project, Wingman was already running, so I never saw them from the very beginning. But it's interesting to go back and watch those episodes because this is when the company was at its literal birthing, when they were literally walking in with like 8, 9 people and starting things out. And in the beginning, seeing them build the teams that had to work at the company at CIG at the time. All these disciplines that we're seeing listed here, programming, design, art and audio production, and quality assurance, these all started with like maybe just one person, maybe 2 people. And over the years, it has expanded into teams that are working in these areas. I think one of the things that came out, and you guys can maybe comment about what happened on the SCL, because you might be carrying some of that over here, is them talking about that these are not necessarily interdisciplinary, that there are people who work specifically on certain things. And sometimes when people hear, oh, there are 1,100, 1,200 people working at CIG, there becomes this thing of, well, why don't they just put everybody on doing such and such, or put everybody on working such and such, when that is not the case, that people have in some ways even work in specialized areas, right? Which is why some things may come out and we say, why are they putting that out? Well, maybe that team is able to get their stuff done, where another team, they're ready to put something out, but it's dependent upon some other team that may not have some technical or coding issue or bug fixed. So, Sirius, I'll jump to you since Fastcart read. Is there anything here you want to comment on about the programming, design, art, just the whole building a video game?
Well, and that for me, like, is the meat and potatoes of these determinations, right? Like, and we get a lot of this, what I call how the sausage is made and the decisions that are being made. If you just search online, excuse me, at in YouTube with personal interactions or player interaction system or button interaction system for Star Citizen, you got videos and coverage of those videos going back 10 years, right?
Yeah.
Where the team was trying to make the determinations in the code as to the extent to which this was going to be gamified or simified, as and as the case may be, right? And even just 2 years ago, we saw folks on what was the team, essentially the EVA and personal interaction system team, show us a lot more button pressing in the world, right, than we currently do. We get a lot of highlighting F and pressing F and something happens. But they were showing us that you'd highlight F and your hand would come out and it would be physicalized, right? And that is one of 1,000 decisions that need to be made that are on some scale of how much of this is gamified and how much of this is simified for these experiences. So that for me is one that stood out. The other one is art and audio, you know, and what I saw that what I was reminded of is how many people have told me over the years how caught up with Star Citizen would be by the time it came out in terms of art and audio and assets and detail, and they ain't caught up yet. So that's all that came to mind for me in that area. Was everybody's like, oh, you know, Star Citizen's taking so long, all these games are going to pass it. And not only have games not passed it, whole new systems to make games have come out and they've not passed it.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's just interesting to me and of note.
Yeah. FC, any of those topics hit you? Programming, design, art, studio, production, or quality assurance?
I think I want to mention something that's not on the list, but it is important. Marketing. That part of building a game. For studios like EA, Activision, stuff like that. I believe Chris Roberts, or one of the higher ups within CIG, once said that 80% of the budget goes to marketing. I believe that was the quote. Or like a significant portion of the budget for building a video game goes into marketing. But we are fortunate that Star Citizen Squadron 42 at the moment is mostly done by word of mouth. But once that Squadron 42 marketing kicks in, they already have investors and everything like that to take care of it. But yeah, for other games, marketing is a significant portion of the budget for building a video game.
Yep. I want to say sorry, I want to say that the number ranges between 30 to 50%, but 80% would be a lot of the money. I don't know. I have to go back and look.
Any modern high level entertainment, that doesn't surprise me, right?
Yeah, I know in motion pictures it's 30% for motion pictures usually. So
yeah, look at what they spend on motion pictures to get them up and out of the noise for a week or two, and to have your attention, right?
Yeah.
It's just it's trying to garner attention, and that's harder than ever today.
When I heard that number, it was probably 10 years ago. It's probably changed by now. That's the other thing.
Maybe so. Maybe so, but I mean, you're saying 80. Not to be funny, but if you took
that's a lot of money.
yeah. If a game costs 500 million, you're saying that 400 million went toward, that would be too much. But it is a lot of money. It is a significant amount of money for marketing, and that's because this marketing just costs a lot of money. But you're right, fastcart, right now, and that's one of the reasons why for many years the marketing for Star Citizen had been pretty much within a bubble. Right. The trailers and things until CIG started putting out the YouTube videos. Most of that stuff was those of us within the community that started, were funding it and putting more money into it. And of course, there was the occasional person that might see a trailer, but there really wasn't a big push, to your point, fastcart, toward the general gaming public. But now you've got the algorithms and things like that. If people are playing space games, and a Star Citizen commercial will come up and they'll see that now. But anyway, out of the ones that were listed there for me, production was one of them, and that was talking about being on schedule. And again, referencing Benoit, talking about how the cadence that they're doing now monthly, that literally when they get one thing done, they're almost behind schedule for the next one because they're trying to push out so much material. And I think Disco highlighted the fact that, just this year alone, they put out 8 patches in just the entire year, where normally we get 4 patches or, maybe 8 patches over, what I'm saying, with not including bug fixes, but literal patches, updates, I should say, not patches, updates. So they are doing a lot of work right now. And this is all part of building a video game, right? These areas are familiar: programming, design, art and studio, production, quality assurance, Q&A. These are all just the integral parts that take place with any video game that's being built out. There are some examples here that we can talk about. Using a game like Unreal Engine or Unity to code the game's mechanics, physics, and rendering. We know that CIG is using CryEngine, or what was started out with CryEngine, that has now become Star Engine. And it's interesting, by the way, I keep referencing Grollo, but you guys watch Grollo's video. He really talks about the fact that from what his observations are, and it's just his own personal observations, his personal observations is that CIG, or Chris Roberts, may have made the right decision by going with CryEngine versus using something like Unreal. And he talks about some of the issues in relation to Unreal Engine. Not that there's anything wrong with Unreal Engine, but he talks about the fact that sometimes engines are very specific to a certain type of game that you're doing. Every engine can't do everything. So sometimes you have to pick the engine based upon what it is you're trying to do. It takes nothing against Unity. It takes nothing against Unreal. It's just that particular engine is not good for doing this type of game. Let me read through these and you guys can comment. Using software like Blender, Photoshop to create 3D models and 2D assets. There's a great video out right now too, which I will try to find. Serious, I know you're going to give some comments, where this guy goes, he's a developer, and he goes through all the ships, like I forget, like 50 of the ships that CIG puts together, and you have to hear from his perspective as somebody who works in Blender. He is blown away at the level of detail and work. I think we sometimes have gotten really spoiled because we don't really know or understand or appreciate the level of detail that has gone into creating some of these ships. Let me stop there.
Yeah, no, I'm saying we also have a gaming culture that is, I tend to chastise it by calling it, "Why can't the game be over already?" culture, right? Where we get into something and we're educated in these games to run by all the work that's been done to get to something else that's more essential, right? Whereas in Star Citizen, I think there's an opportunity, just like sometimes, Griff, you will walk through the city and walking through the city gets you the opportunity to hear wild lines and to see different things that have been laid out from animations and to experience certain soundscapes and this, that, and the other. That Star Citizen is being very intentional in giving us more of those moments than you might get when you jump into Battlefield 2042, right? Not to disparage Battlefield, but the detail and the environment is there just to move you to this set of engagements, right? Versus the detail and the rendering and the environment in Star Citizen can be for some backers a gameplay experience in and of itself, right? When you go to the top of, I parked, I was out with the Soul Citizens and we were finishing up, and I had an Aurora LN, another RSI ship of great renown, by the way. I had an Aurora LN, and we were on Microtech, and I went to a grassy area, mountainous area, and I went to the top of the mountain, and I parked the Aurora LN there because it has a bed. I parked it for the night, right? And I was getting ready to just log off, and I happened to catch the mountain and the grasses and the sunlight and the clouds, and I was like, I just got to take 5 minutes, right? And I get out of the Aurora, and I just got out and looked around and listened, and that was gameplay for me, right? And it's only because they've taken the time to do this in the detail with which they've done it, right? And make that available to us. So, yeah, I think whether it's the ships or it's the other assets, we are a little bit we do a little bit take some of this for granted. And I would recommend, take some time and walk around your ship and wonder at not only what they've done, but why they've done it, right? There's particularly with what I'd call mid-development and late development ships, but even early development ships have some of this stuff with a lot of stuff in mind. We talked about the Reclaimer. The Reclaimer is specifically intended to be evocative of the Alien franchise, in my view, right?
Yeah.
No one has said that at Star Citizen, but I would say it, right? But how does it do that? It does that with materials. It does that with lighting. It does that with layout. It does that with the random things that are on the ground and on the tables and the way that you move through the ship and all that stuff. That's detail that somebody had to think about and give us. So yeah.
Okay.
I wouldn't put money on it.
Yeah.
I wouldn't put money on it, but I think Disco Lando, Jared Huckabee spoke about the Alien Reclaimer inspiration one time, but don't quote me on that one. But I feel like he said that he mentioned it one time. And when you talk about your Aurora story, it didn't end the way I expected it to end. I thought you were going to say that you got out of your LN and you forgot your helmet, and that was it. That's what I was expecting.
That happens too, but I didn't happen that night.
That didn't happen that time. Back to the specific example of Blender and Photoshop and other things like that. People were questioning way back, some people were still questioning why they didn't go with Unreal. And like you said, Griff, that at the time when they were making the decision, they felt like CryEngine was more in line with their goals and motives compared to Unreal. Now, some people will say, well, why don't they just switch from StarEngine to Unreal now? How long you want this project to go for?
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Okay. That's fair. Alrighty. Let me cue up our next segment then, which is, and Sirius, why don't you take a read on this for building a universe?
Yeah, so this is the creative high concept phase of game development that establishes the foundation for this game's story and characters. A game universe includes the following: narrative and lore, the history, mythology, and backstory of the world. Physical law, the world works.
I'm gonna say, let me check if it's still on for YouTube.
No, it doesn't look. Yeah, it is. We're still on YouTube. Okay, we're back up on Twitch.
Go ahead. Sorry about that.
Sorry, guys. We're back.
Okay. Let me see here.
We were going to
Yeah,
pick with
so-
characters and factions.
Characters and factions, the people, creatures, and groups that inhabit the world, each with their own backstories and motivations, culture and customs, the traditions, societies, and philosophies that define the world's inhabitants, and sense of place, the feel of the world conveyed through its atmosphere, textures, and visual style. You know, the interesting thing about this one is that characters and factions, culture and customs, physical laws, narrative and lore. There's an opportunity in Star Citizen that not every game has to not only look at that through the multiple dimensions of human factions, but we've got alien factions as well, right?
Mm-hmm.
There's an opportunity over the long term to build out narrative and lore for multiple species and races, right?
Mm-hmm.
When we talk about physical laws, how I go through quantum space is different when I'm in a Tavaran ship than it is when I'm in a Xi'an ship than it is when I'm in a human ship,
Mm-hmm.
right? Which tells me that we experience physics a little bit differently. And then all the other categories, in terms of building a universe, there's just another layer of massive opportunities for Star Citizen because it does have alien life,
Mm-hmm.
right? In multiple dimensions. So
Okay. FC, any thoughts about this, about building the universe?
I'm going to go to sense of place, the feel of the world conveyed through its atmosphere, textures, and visual style.
Mm-hmm.
We had Pyro, we had Stanton. For a while, we only had Stanton, and it was like, I like how each planet, or each main planet, well, each planet has its own feel. Like Orcorp is this mega city planet, Hurston and Lorville. Yeah, the bagheads and the bad atmosphere and the oppression that we feel there. Sorry, Colossal. New Babbitt feel like this new technological wonder.
Mm-hmm.
And Orson is a city in the clouds. Is reminiscent of Bespin from Star Wars. So they really hit the nail on giving each one of these locations and a feel. Now, some people complain like the ASD and some of the missions and stuff like that. You're cutting copy and paste and stuff like that. It feels like it's not as much diversity when it comes to that. But I'm hoping, I'm guessing that CIG fills it in more systems.
Mm-hmm.
Different systems will have different fields when it comes to those missions. That's my hope in a way.
now see, when you jumped on sense of place after I talked about aliens, you went somewhere. I thought you were going to go somewhere different. And maybe it's because it's too triggering for you, but I thought you were going to go to the Banu Merchantman. And what we were seeing.
I got to keep you on your toes.
Well, what we were seeing in development there before it stalled was a atmosphere and textures and visual style that for me it made me think about how a Banu homeworld might be, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I thought that they were doing really well at getting at that because it was materially different an experience to be in that ship with those systems than it was to be in a human ship, even much more than the Defender, I thought. You know?
I think I'm going to surprise you, SeriousFun, because I don't want to say I know everything about the Banu, but I know enough about the Banu that I'm looking forward to seeing the home planet. But the planet I really want to see and the system I really want to see is Xeon. I want to see how their system and planets are because we don't know as much about them as we do about the Banu.
Yeah.
At least I don't.
We all got to stay healthy. We got to eat. We got to eat our vegetables because that's going to be Star Citizen 2.0 and 3.0.
All right, I'm putting in chat real quick. This is the video. I just dropped it in the Blender file that has 50 ships in the space station. Highly recommend you guys take a look at that when you get some time. Person in there shares some really great information about the complexity of what CIG is doing when it comes to the technical side of the game. It's pretty good stuff. Prisoner said he saw it. It's a good video. Yeah, it is. I really wanted to touch on a couple things. Physical laws. This is one that has been very controversial. Watching some of the earlier videos back in the day, I know we had this conversation not too long ago in our chat, talking about how real do we want real to be? How simulated do we want space to be? How simulated do we want Star Citizen to be? And there are those who want full simulation. They want to feel as if they are truly in space. They want as close to as possible, have those experiences, whether it's Newtonian physics, whether it's the gravity, whether it's atmospheric things, and no problem with that, right? There are folks who want to sense that world of what it would be like to be in space. And then there are other folks who are like, oh, it sounds too much like a real thing and it's too simulated. And, we've talked about this before, how sim do you want sim to be? In 1 second we want the sim, but the other second we want to be able to cross a whole solar system in 3 minutes. It's like, well, that's not real, So which one do we want? So striking the balance in there is important. And the reason why I picked on physical laws was, you mentioned this earlier, Sirius, about the fastcart 2 about the wolf. And they said that the issue in there was that there was no gravity inside of the wolf. Now think about that. I don't think any player is, when the bug pops up, the first thing that pops up in their mind is, I wonder if there's any gravity inside the ship. You know what I mean? I don't even know the depth of how far CIG is going and putting into make this game be. And again, sometimes we don't see those little things. They're behind the curtain, right? I would not have been thinking that there was gravity. There was a gravity factor inside of the ship. I might even be asking, why is there a gravity factor inside of the ship, right? But later on, there may be something that's implemented in the game that's put in here now because later they know they want to do something specific in the game. And so I would think that most of our ships, if I have something in my hand, if I drop it, it falls to the ground. It doesn't float around in the ship, right? So there has to be reasons why these things are being placed in the game. But when you're building a universe, and when I talk about building a universe, I'm also thinking about what are the laws that dictate or govern that universe. So the physical laws are one thing. How characters act. Fastcart, you were just mentioning, what are Xi'an like? Like, what is it like to go to a Xi'an world? What is it like to tell me that they don't breathe oxygen, they breathe such and such? All these things have to be built out. Culture, customs. The Banu thing they've been very extensive about explaining to us about Banu culture. What does it mean to run into and engage the Banu? Do I just run into, engage them, and I treat them like I would treat a human? Or are we building a universe that my interactions with them are human? Or are we building a universe that my interactions with them are totally different? UEEC, whatever, means nothing to them. Maybe it's nothing more. I think we just lost our video again.
Yeah, we did.
Yep, we just lost it again. Yeah, it's different. That's being built out in that universe as well. So, and then the things like all the mechanics that we've talked about, you guys have heard all this stuff before, right? The tools and all the other things that go into coding and all that other stuff. But then there's also, what are you building that for? And it becomes that universe. There was an interesting quote, and I wish I could remember what the quote was now. But it was, so in other words, you don't just, well, we've got the technology, I'm going to make a game. The other way around when you're doing something new is that the vision comes out there, and now the vision drives the type of technology you need to make it happen. And in many cases, that's Star Citizen. Sure, there are plenty of things in Star Citizen that the technology doesn't exist, and now we have to create it. We have to figure it out. We have to figure out, how do we make that vision become a reality? And I think that's one of the things that makes the project very, very unique. Anything else on that one before I go to the next part for the examples? No?
I'm good.
Okay. All right. Let's talk about some of the examples. The Witcher. The universe is based on a series of novels and features detailed lore, complex characters, and a morally ambiguous world. In Elder Scrolls, this universe is defined by its vast history, distinct cultures, and rich mythology, which were developed long before the games themselves. Now, I want to comment on this. I'm going to let you guys jump in. I can speak specifically about the Elder Scrolls because I played many of the other games before Elder Scrolls Online came out. And the cool thing about playing it was when you went into that world, you already knew what to do. You knew what things were. You know what I mean? I didn't have to sit there and try to figure out what is this? What is this? I just knew right off the bat. It took a long time to build that type of lore. You know what I mean? From people who went back to Morrowind and all the other Elder Scrolls stuff, you know? But anyway, that's all I want to say about that one. When you guys want to jump in on either one of those?
Well, yeah, I mean, I go back to Elder Scrolls Arena.
Oh,
For
God.
my Elder Scrolls experience, right?
Yeah.
But I still think that Morrowind competes with Skyrim for the most fully realized experience,
Mm-hmm.
right? But that was another game that those were games that really were helped you lounge in the lore, right?
Mm-hmm.
You could spend time picking up books and just reading about things
Mm-hmm.
in game.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? Lounge in the lore. But that, to your point, that history, that culture, that mythology had to be built out, right?
Mm-hmm.
They weren't figuring it out in the game. They had built it out and then gave it to you in the game.
Yeah.
Right? So, yeah, I think that's a great example. And The Witcher is another one that does the same thing. There were lots of stuff to read, lots of stuff to experience just in the world itself, that you could do between quests and side quests and everything else that were about that. But then also, you know, when you talked about them in The Witcher in particular, when you talk about morally ambiguous, there was a mission structure and a story structure that gave you choices that allowed you to not necessarily choose the quote unquote heroic thing, right? And Mass Effect was also another example of this.
I was going to go with that.
Yeah. Sorry, go ahead, Fastcart. But yeah, exactly.
No, you touched on it, so I'm going to go in a completely different way because I haven't played The Witcher, I haven't played Elder Scrolls, but I have played Final Fantasy. And Final Fantasy, starting from the 80s on up to 16, I've always been, each one has been both unique and similar in that they had some touchstone. It could be like the summon that you can summon basically, or maybe like the crystal. The crystal is always something in every Final Fantasy that comes along, and in each one you discover the lore as you go along, but it's always becomes something rich and powerful as this storyline progresses.
Is that universe continuous, or is each one just each one's a standalone to its own?
Sometimes they're connected between different games, but most of them are standalone.
Okay. Wow. Okay. Yeah, I was not a Witcher player. I've still never played The Witcher, and that's a shame because I don't know what it is about me with The Witcher and Cyberpunk. I don't know. I look at them and I say I'm going to play them, and I never get to them. But like you, Sirius, I can talk about the Elder Scrolls, and I know Togi is a big fan. I think he said Morrowind is the one that he thinks is like the ultimate. A lot of people say that about Morrowind. They think that's like the ultimate. What was the other one? Oblivion was the other one, right?
Oblivion was the one I got.
Yeah.
Oblivion was the one I got, but I only played for 30 minutes because I need something more linear at the time. It was too open for me.
Too much for open world, right? Okay. Well, anyway, we want to share these with you all to talk about the fact that an appreciation of the fact that the development of Star Citizen is definitely has its own unique aspects. Again, not that every aspect of it is just, cutting edge and beyond and everything else, but there are a lot of things in this game that ultimately will put it in a different category in relation to development, technology, and hopefully even gameplay. And what I mean by that is that hopefully they'll return to a gameplay that is reminiscent of gameplay that was much deeper than just shooting people. I'll just say it that way. That hopefully it will be much more involved than that. At least that's my hope, that it will become even much more than that. But yeah, that's it. We're going to wrap it up for today. And want to say to everyone who commented, you guys shared so many great comments. I was looking in the chat at many of the things that you all were saying. Just really, really good stuff. Really, really appreciate that each of you. Jade, I hope you're doing well. We miss you. Hope all is going well with you. Go to sleep. Don't worry. We'll set the alarm clock and wake you up. Don't worry. We won't forget about you. Let's talk about what we have coming up next week. I think it's next week. Oh, before we get there, I never pitched this, but I need to pitch it, right? Where's it at? I have to make sure I get to the right screen here. Fastcar's probably, he used to get on me about this because I would always forget to do this. We have to talk about the fact that we have merchandise. I have not ran this video in probably 2 years. Guys,
oh my God.
Don't forget.
Right.
Don't forget we have Soul Citizens merchandise. We've got hats, cups, mugs, mouse pads, all types of crazy stuff out there. If you want to support us, that information is out there. Just check it out. You can. It's always on our YouTube. You'll see a link down there that tells you where you can go to find our merchandise. We really appreciate you guys' support in that area. And then
thank you for the Patreons, and thank you for people who listen to us on different podcasts and platforms, and appreciate y'all.
Absolutely.
Thank you very much.
Absolutely. Oh my God, I told our patrons that we had the wrong title for next week's show. But before I say that, Fastcart just mentioned it, and I meant to put the picture up, and I completely forgot to do it. Don't forget, last week we put out our episode of The Producers, and the title of it was this. What was it called? The something wars. What was it?
Something. The Soul Wars.
The Soul Wars. The Soul Wars. Yeah. So check out our episode of The Producers from last week, The Soul Wars. If you get a chance, it is out there on YouTube for you to take a look at. Next week, once again, to our sponsors, forgive me, I said that we were going to talk about the Apollo and medicine next week. That's not next week. It's the following week, because I was kind of calculating on when it was all going to be ironed out. So next week, we're going to be doing a show called Is Star Citizen Worth It? A lot of feelings about this. Is it worth it? And that's everything from, have people felt they've got their bang for their buck, or do people feel like everything they've gone through at this point, whether you've been in the game for 1 year, whether you've been in the game for 13 years, that's going to be our examination next week. So hopefully you guys will be able to not only join us, but chime in. You know what? Maybe we'll make that one of those shows where folks can jump in and give us their 2 cents. What do you think? How does that sound? Maybe we should do that next week. Look at them. They're both stunned. Look at them. They're both stunned. They're both stunned.
You just dropped this on us without notifications on
We'll see. Maybe next week we'll do open mic. We did open mic a couple.
There you go.
Yeah, we did open mic a couple months ago. Maybe we'll do open mic next week, and you guys can come in and give us your thoughts and let us know whether you feel that all this is worth it, or will it be worth it in the end. We'll have to see, right? All right. Well, I think that is it. Do we have somebody? Yeah, Jet Set is on. Wow. Haven't seen Jet Set in a while. All righty. Well, again, thank you all for being here with us. We really appreciate you all. We are going to be setting up for a raid for Jet Set, who, again, I have not seen streaming for quite a bit. I'm having problems getting this link for some reason, but do we have any questions, Fastcart? I'm sorry, I didn't even ask. Do we have any?
No Q&A.
Nothing. Okay, well, good.
I didn't even get a joke ban, but I just want to give a shout out to something Jared said.
Mm-hmm.
Don't equate length to quality. That's important.
Yes, definitely. Absolutely. Well, once again, I want to say special thanks to both Fastcart and Serious. Thank you guys for being here today. Thank all of you all for spending your Sunday evening with us. We're going to send you guys over to Jet Set. When you go over there, show her some love. Let her know that you came from the Soul Citizens. And take care of yourselves. Stay safe. And as always, we'll see you next week. Peace, love, and soul. Ciao.